It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you so much for being here, as always.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
We do.
So I guess the amount of debt and unfunded liabilities of the U.S. Postal Service is like $144 billion.
Wow.
I just did a quick search on that one. I think that was for 2023. And so you look at it, and this is all on the story that Trump is looking to privatize the U.S. Postal Service. And we say, for example, how do you do it if you're really going to make major cuts? The fact is, if you try to get rid of anything, there's going to be pushback, major pushback. How do you privatize it? Would be the question. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. Well,
right.
You're going to sell the post office to someone else? I mean, technically, it's supposed to be a pseudo-private entity outside the federal government.
Yeah.
And so you wish to, privatize it, which means it's completely separate from the government.
Right.
Who's going to buy it, and would there be still the requirement that you have to deliver every day?
Well,
to every address,
yeah.
Because nobody, I don't know anyone. Well, maybe there is somebody out there who will do it, but I don't know of anyone. I don't know what the business model would be to have to stop by every single house.
Yeah, I was telling you during the break, the greatest of inefficiency in that business model is actually delivering to every address every day.
Right.
And if you were to say, because UPS, you see the trucks on your street, they don't come to your house every day. Maybe unless you have a business, where it's, coming and going all the time. But most people at their residence don't get UPS every day. So if you think of a UPS type carrier, well, that's not going to work. If they were to take their business model and then say, okay, we're still required to go door to door every day, that's a massive inefficiency based on what they do. And I don't know how you fix that. Look, you could say, okay, from now on, it's $5 per stamp. Well, now you're going to get outrage. That's not going to happen. That's not a forever stamp. That's a never stamp. And so this idea of, wow, I can take this. I don't even know what a stamp costs. I have no idea what the current cost of a stamp is. I always buy the forever stamps. By the way, they're not forever. I use them. I put them on the one envelope, and then they're gone with that. It's gone with that envelope. It never comes back. But I imagine that it had to go to a point of, all right. It's one thing saying we could increase the cost of packages. Well, you're still not going to compete with a UPS or a FedEx.
73 cents.
My gosh, when did that happen?
I know. I thought the same thing. I've been buying the forever stamps. I just look at it. I only send out one
per month. Yeah.
I use one stamp per month.
Yeah, that's all I use.
So I just go in and it's like book of stamps is whatever. I buy it. I never break it down.
Right.
And so when you ask that question, what's a stamp? What's a stamp cost? I was thinking, probably 57 cents.
I thought somewhere around 60, somewhere around there.
It is like 73 cents.
Oh, my gosh, I'm outraged now. But those, you look at the even that cost, that's still amazing that you can get your, piece of mail delivered to wherever for that cost. It's not going to be there overnight. But you look at that and people go, oh, that's a great bargain. Well, it's actually an inefficiency. And you start talking about, well, what do? We could go to no Saturday delivery. or no Wednesday and no Saturday delivery.
I remember when they tried that.
Oh,
Or
don't you dare.
Suggested it.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. And so there it is. There's your conundrum. Look, if you're talking about privatization, there are no buyers. There's nobody at the door. There isn't. There's nobody at the door. With that much debt and inefficiency and legacy costs, I don't know what the total legacy costs right now are in terms of unfunded pensions that are going to age out at, whatever, they're going to mature at whatever point. Well, who wants a part of that? Nobody. You'd be much better off to start your own company. I mean, if you're going to do delivery of anything, parcel delivery, you would just go out and start a new one. There are no buyers. There's no UPS that's knocking on your door or FedEx knocking on your door. Because, again, they would have to incorporate, if all's going to remain the same, they would have to incorporate a great inefficiency, and that is to have their delivery people. They would have to have a whole other fleet of delivery people just going door to door for first-class mail. And look, Daniel, my post office guy, the post office worker that comes to my door, he's a great guy. He's a veteran and does a great job. But in that role, if you're talking about that role in a business model, there's nobody in the private sector that wants it.
Do they make? I'm doing some research here as if UPS, United States Postal Service, makes money on junk mail. I know it brought in 2021 $15 billion in revenue, 128.9 billion pieces of direct mail, and they say only 2.9% of prospective customers, those who have not yet purchased anything from a direct mailer, responded to a direct mail sent via USPS. So, but my point would be, do you make money on it? Did they break? Have they? I mean, revenues. Revenue means nothing. It's what the costs are.
Right.
And so that would be the thing, because if you're private sector and you come in, you can't be if Trump's going to say, okay, we'd like the private sector to take over the U.S. Postal Service. Well, then they're no longer a part of the government. They don't have to abide by the rules and regulations.
They can make the rules up as they go, whatever rules, whatever policy they want to have.
And so if the government says, no, if you want to buy it, you must, you have to just increase it through efficiency of mail distribution, you're not going to get any takers.
Well, no.
And you're not going to have those unfunded mandates and debt going to the new buyer. They're not going to take it.
No.
So I have no idea how you sell the post office.
Yeah, I don't.
How you privatize it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, when you see where we have gone as a society, where the culture has gone because of technology, smartphone, email, text, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Good God, texting. Now, every single day, texting becomes more advanced. I got a new app, a new app for my messaging. Well, now I can send everything high def, which is great. And
right.
I get so much notification from doctors and everything, not on email anymore, all coming in on text.
Right.
So that's starting to change. And so when you see an agency, for example, which is really operating on an inefficient premise to begin with, and they're doing less of what got them, less of what their mission was, and they become, I know for me, the USPS, the vast majority of what they do is give me junk mail. which I don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting stuff that's being provided by me that I don't want, that most people don't want.
But it's paid for on the other end.
But it's, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you do
the
have
demand comes from the sender.
Right. You do, right. So you do have it. You're right. So you do have it. Yeah. But my point is, it's the person who is getting that junk mail that eventually will have to support you.
Yeah. Right.
And so I look at it and I'm like, I don't know where the post office goes, but it also brings up a bigger question that somebody's going to have to pay for those unfunded mandates and debt. I know it's supposed to be separate from the government.
How much was the debt again?
$144 billion.
The total enterprise value for UPS is $130 billion.
Yeah.
So
their debts, yeah.
So their debt would be, I mean, if you were looking for
an unfunded mandate.
Right. And if you were to look at, again, the private sector of the current players who already have the infrastructure built in and a similar business model, that's who you would look to first, where there might be demand. There's zero demand for taking USPS private. There's nobody at the door. There's no way to, again, build in all these costs, expenses, and then also what the investment would be to ramp up efficiency would be huge. And it's far too late in the game. There may have been a time, I don't know when that would be, decades ago, maybe. But I don't see that because you look at it, and again, as you mentioned, okay, if there's still going to be this government mandate attached to it, that this has to happen, well, now you're just a government contractor. We already have those. And
the government contractors would want you to cover all the costs.
Exactly. Because nobody has an interest in picking up the demand for first-class mail, right? In the private sector, there is no, man, we wish we could get a piece of that action. There isn't anyone. No players whatsoever at the door on that one. So where would it be? Where would the demand in terms of a potential buyer, where would be that interest? There isn't one. There isn't one. There just simply isn't one. Because it's highly inefficient. It has a boatload of debt and underfunded mandates, and nobody's coming in for that.
But there is sort of, because of culture, for the decades of culture of the post office, sort of like the same culture of having a home phone.
Yeah. Right.
I'm probably getting rid of my home phone. I still have it.
I haven't had one in years. It's been 8 or 9 years.
I still have one. And I'm like, okay, broadband keeps going up and my phone is attached to it. I don't need the phone. But was there a thought process when you went through it because you've always had a home phone?
No.
See, for me there is.
Once my youngest graduated.
Yeah. For me I don't know what it is. It just sits, and I'm just talking about that's the strength of the culture of always having something there. It's like, okay, do I need it for anything? Well, maybe I'll keep, and it's like there's no need to have one now.
Yeah, no. No, there isn't.
There's absolutely no need to have a home phone. But I guess my point is the culture and the habit of the mail being there. And this is part of the problem when you talk about what Elon Musk and Ramaswamy are trying to do with the government in general. There is going to be pushback. I mean, everybody's going rah, rah, rah. This is going to be great until somebody starts getting something cut.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think of my next door neighbor after her husband passed. Obviously, she's got help from her adult children. She's 86. But she would not be able to get by, she will tell you, without USPS.
Mm-hmm.
She relies on the mail.
My dad does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, what are you going to say? Sorry, it's not working out. I don't know. Look, again, you start talking about cutting Saturday delivery. and people are, up in arms. But you keep raising the cost of the stamp and everything else. It's still not covering it. Because the great inefficiency is having to go to door every day. Imagine telling UPS, all of your drivers basically are on their route. They're going to have to stop at every address. They'd have to hire a lot more drivers.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And there's the inefficiency.
Because almost every day it's junk mail, but you got to you've got to deliver that junk mail to that address.
Right.
And so every day, probably 5 out of the 6 days of the week, I get mail.
Yeah,
and
I'd say,
and I get 4 envelopes in a month from utilities and one other place that I have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
But the utilities, I'll probably drop that, just have them email me.
Right.
Because I now have apps for everything.
Right.
And the apps tell you.
Right.
You get the notification.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
So you wonder in 10 years, what's this plan going to be?
Well, the inefficiencies keep growing. It can only last for so long. I just don't know what the answer is.
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
What recommendations are provided by a Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee report regarding new federal dietary guidelines covering the period of 2025 to 2030? Janet DeJesus of the Department of Health and Human Services notes among those recommendations for HHS and USDA
have one flexible dietary pattern
consisting of core elements but flexible dietary choices, a model called Eat Healthy Your Way.
So really to show people that there's many ways that you can eat. For example, your protein foods can be solely vegetable, or you can move across the continuum and include seafood and animal-based proteins.
The website, Dietary Guidelines, all one word, .gov, contains details on a 60-day public comment period on the report now underway, and an oral comment public hearing scheduled for the middle of next month. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Did you see the story this weekend where the former pollster, Anna Seltzer, was out there about remember she did the Iowa poll that was so far off?
Yeah.
And she's out again saying they're accusing me of a crime of election interference. And I didn't, and I'm thinking to myself, didn't she already come out a few weeks ago? She said, I got to come out and clarify all this. Didn't she talk like a month ago, maybe even, right after the election?
Well, I think she said she was going to review her methodology.
And she was going to retire.
And then she was going to retire.
Right. Okay. That's.
Yeah.
She said, I'm not breaking any news here. If you were hoping that I landed on exactly why things went wrong, I have not. It does sort of awaken me in the middle of the night, and I think, well, maybe I should check this. This is something that would be very odd if it were to happen, but we've explored everything. The Des Moines Register is an unprecedented move for transparency that has put blah, 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 but she never answers the question.
Right.
I'm sorry. That doesn't pass the stink test.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. We've seen too many pollsters out there to be off that far. There was something wrong with your methodology.
Exactly.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. Oh, yeah, we're deep into Christmas, aren't we?
We are. We're in deep, all right.
We're really deep into Christmas now. With the Christmas music, it's like, oh, I got to talk stuff of substance. I want to talk fluff.
How to properly wrap a package.
Oh, I did make my banana bread yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, only 3 loaves, though.
All right.
Yeah. Remember, a few years back, I was up to 40.
Yeah.
And I had to stop. I had no time. It became so popular, and I gave it away. But
right, I've had some. It's very good,
isn't it? Yeah,
yeah, very good.
And it was everyone. I went. Speaking, we were talking about the USPS. When I would mail some out to my dad and other people. I was now going to FedEx banana bread out. And because I didn't want it to be slow, because you don't want it, you want to get it there fresh. Got to be quite expensive.
Oh yeah.
So I was bringing it in, and the great FedEx representative who was there, she was just a sweetheart, said to me, she said, so she goes, this has to be, this is really, you're in here like every single day, because every single day I'd wake up and I'd start making banana bread. I mean, I had 100 bananas, that were trying to get ripe in the garage.
Right, yeah.
Because I didn't want them in the house, because as they become ripe, they start giving you that banana smell.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't handle that.
Right.
And so I go there, and she just said, she goes, so what type of business, what are you selling these for? Because it has to be quite expensive. You're doing this, then sending these out. This is quite expensive. Does the end customer pay for the FedEx? And I went, no, this is all free. What are you talking about? No, this is just because you're here every single day. This is like close to Christmas. And I'd probably been in there 10 times. And she's like, this isn't a business? I said, no, this is personal. What?
Right.
And she goes, this must be really good. And she goes, boy, I'd love a loaf. And I went, okay, it's going to be after Christmas.
Okay, fine.
I brought her in a loaf of banana bread.
Yeah.
And the people at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Because I'd go in and get 25 bananas. Well, nobody really goes in and gets 25 bananas.
Well, it used to be they would bag up the old bananas and sell them for people who wanted to make banana bread.
Yeah.
But I don't see any store doing that anymore.
No, I went to the 2 stores I went to didn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So you have to go in and weeks before. Now the ones I made yesterday, I bought them in 17 days because you want that outside, the peel to be as black as possible. And so I think I made 3 good loaves of banana bread. But that one year I made 40. And that was 2019. And then COVID hit. But I didn't have any time to do anything. I started making banana bread. I was preparing it in October. And I couldn't do anything in November, or December, because when you think about it, I had 5 weeks to do it, I'm making 9 loaves a week.
Yeah.
Or whatever, 5 weeks, I'm, 8, whatever, 8 loaves a week. That takes a lot of time to do that. I mean, it's like, and so finally when COVID came, it was like, whew, and every year it was going up like 5 to 7 more. I'm like, I can't, I'm not in the banana bread business, but.
My wife used to have a kind of an assembly line thing, and the grandkids used to help when they were younger. And she would make basically the Christmas goodies, put them in a tin and send them out to, hand deliver them to whoever. My daughter would come by and grab one and take to her friend or office, and then other friends would come by, or we'd take it to work or whatever. Those days are pretty much gone. She made some things this year. We don't make nearly as much.
Yeah, it just gets to be.
We just don't. I mean,
And then what happened was, I think it was after I got type 2, I found the recipe for low-carb pumpkin pie.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't made one this year because once I make it, I'll make 2 or 3 of them, and I'll go home in the morning, and my breakfast will be a piece of low-carb pumpkin pie.
Yeah, why not?
But the average, I think, slice of pumpkin pie regular is probably 40 grams of carbs, 40 to 45 maybe. And the one I make, a slice, is probably 6 to 7.
Yeah.
So, which is a huge reduction, and it tastes just like regular pumpkin pie. Now you use the the almond flour,
right,
for the way you make that crust. It's sort of like graham cracker crust. That's the only difference in it. But I love that kind of crust anyway. So for me, it tastes the same. But yeah. Right. So we've got that done. So I'm done. I'm done with everything now. I'm done. Yeah. I got my procedure, so now everything's done.
Yeah. I it's weird because for years we haven't, our kids are all grown. My youngest grandchild is 5.5.
Wow.
So it's not like it was before, where it's all kids, where we had kids that would fill the room. Mm-hmm. And my grown kids like to have Christmas Day at their house, kind of, relax. They don't get, we get a week off, more than a week and a few days. And they don't, it's part of our vacation package, but they don't get but a day, maybe a day and a half. Sometimes if they have to take an extra day, maybe 2 days. So they have to work quite often. Like Christmas is in the middle of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They have to be at work the next morning. Yep. My wife, the same thing. So you don't want to really stay up really late, or you don't want to, wear yourself out on Christmas Day. So we're doing everything at our house on Sunday, this coming Sunday. We'll still have a low-key Christmas on Christmas Day, but it's going to be, I probably won't get out of my sweats on Christmas Day, hang out, watch John Wick 4, which is going to be great. My new Christmas movies are all the John Wick movies.
Oh, I just can't. I'm sorry.
It's the gift that keeps giving.
I just can't see the Christmas tree. And everything in John Wick. I don't know why, but it made me think of the one time. I know it's a completely different topic. The one time when, and this would have been the mid '90s, and working at a radio station, and I brought in like all my Christmas CDs, and it was all the great, for bumper music,
right? Yeah.
And I came in one day, and my producer's livid. He said, someone stole. It was Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Somebody stole your Christmas CDs out of my drawer. So somebody from the radio station knew that we were playing Christmas music and stole the CDs out of his drawer. And he's furious.
Wow. And
I burst out laughing. He said, what are you laughing about? I said, well, obviously, you're not going to get any money for these.
Right. Yeah.
So I just, in my mind, I cannot get over the humor, the incredible humor, the irony of somebody sitting down tonight and, nice glass of wine with their significant other, the Christmas tree, beautiful, right there in front of them, and the soft sound of stolen Christmas music that they're listening to, in order to celebrate the birth of our Savior. I'm sorry, that's funny.
Yeah, exactly.
And he said, you're not angry. I said, well, if someone's going to steal Christmas music to listen to it, maybe they need it a little bit more than I do.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was still weird, though. It was like, who steals Christmas music?
Right. What are you doing with that? You're so desperate.
Yeah, it's like so desperate. It's like, are you that desperate for the feed? Did you hear it? Did you hear us playing on the air? You heard some of the songs and you went, I got to have that. I've got to steal that for Christmas.
Yeah, I'm taking this home with me.
That
Did you steal the eggnog too? Did you steal the stockings with other people's names on them? Just mark it out.
I remember as a kid, my great aunts would make, the rum balls.
Hmm.
And it would be like, nope, you can't have any. Now, we didn't know that it all evaporated. We just thought, it was,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it really does. It all evaporates, doesn't
Mhm.
it? I mean, it's not, you don't get drunk off of a rum ball.
Depending on how you make them. Yeah.
Oh, can you?
Well, I mean, you could just take whatever you have and dip it in pure rum and then hand it over to the kids. I wouldn't advise that.
Okay, all right. Well, but I mean, because it was forbidden, my brother and I especially,
Yeah.
we ate one and almost threw up. They were so
Right.
horrible. It was
Right,
like,
yeah.
just because the adults say you can't have one, sometimes they're correct.
Exactly.
You can't.
Right.
But I wanted to bring this one up here because I need to recognize you for a moment. But because when I saw this, I said, Eric was really the first one that saw his post, and I'm talking about Michael Rappaport here.
Yeah.
You're one of the
Right.
first people, because when you brought him up, I didn't know who he was at first. This goes back, a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
And you said, look at this Hollywood actor. He's slowly changed. And then I looked and I saw who he was, and I went, oh, okay, I know him.
Yeah.
But Hollywood actor and staunch Israel supporter Michael Rappaport put outgoing Democrat Jamal Bowman on blast for calling out Free Palestine during his final speech as a congressman, and offered Bowman and other squad members a free trip to the West Bank so they can enjoy the area during the holiday season. Rappaport has been incensed with the Democrat squad members and their support of the Hamas side of the conflict with Israel, and took to his X account to strike back. And what really changed him, I remember when you first brought it up, has to be maybe 2 years ago, and it was the crime, wasn't it, New York City?
Yeah, he was actually, I don't know, he posted some video of actual smash and grab type crimes going on. They were in pharmacies, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it was hard to tell if he recorded that himself, but he was saying, this is happening in my neighborhood. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I can't believe people are getting away with this. And it started happening more and more and more. So he was getting angry that that more people weren't outraged, I guess, than on his side, on the left. And you saw that more and more play out in other major cities. And then he came out, and there was something that Biden did. I forget what it was, but pick from the long list. And he still had a disdain for Trump at that time, because he said, look, I know that the other guy's a, blankety blank, and he used a lot of curse words in describing Trump at that time. But I'm definitely not voting for this guy, Biden. And then when he came out, he said the whole Charlottesville thing was a lie, and I didn't. And he took the blame.
He did.
For believing the lie.
Yeah, he did.
He said, look, they lied to me and I bought it. I bought into it. But the whole thing's a lie. It became very clear where he was standing, how he was pivoting politically. And the reason that we pick him is because this was a guy as a liberal who was really angry. I don't know if you can call him a conservative now. That's up to him, whatever he considers himself. But he's opened his eyes, and we have seen that from other people on the left. Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, both at the same time, it was on the same podcast talking to each other. I was a liberal just a few years ago, and Elon Musk said, me too.
Rogan supported Bernie Sanders.
Yep. He talked about that in that moment. Said, I endorsed Bernie Sanders. So it's definitely a big change.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Will be interesting when we eventually find out what the drones are. We'll eventually find out, by the way.
I guess.
I think we'll find out what it is. Well, when I say eventually, it took us a while to find out what the UFOs were in the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Which were government projects. That took a while to figure out.
Yeah. You would think somebody in the media would be doing something, would have something in motion, some kind of investigation on their own in motion. But I don't know how you do that without the proper equipment, right? Mm-hmm. How do you do that? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't trust anything coming from this administration. And we may find out January 21st. Maybe. I have a greater belief that if we find out that it's government related, it'll be after Trump is in office.
No drone UFOs in Texas yet, though,
right? So far, no.
Yeah.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.